How are you all doing tonight? My name is Bigbobbedboi and welcome to my first TBC rep guide. We are going over Kurenai and the Mag'har today. If there's something specific you are looking for, I will add YouTube chapters to this so that you can navigate around and find that part easier. We're going to cover where the Mag'har and Kurenai are located, how to get started with them, what kind of dope shit they can offer us, and what you're most likely here for, where and how to get the rep. So the basics here. The Mag'har is a horde-only rep and the alliance counterpart is the Kurenai, although they are not a one-to-one equivalent, and not just because Draenei got that ass. But because they got that ass, let's talk about them a little first. Kurenai are based in the Grand at Telar, but if you just run right there, you'll be unfriendly and not able to do anything. You can just go farm some mobs for rep, but most likely you'll run into them in Zangar first. Yeah, they get around. There's enough Kurenai quests in Zangar at the Orbor Harborage to get you into neutral. So once you arrive in the Grand, you can do those quests straight away and not have to grind mobs. Orbor Harborage is located on the northwest part of Zangar, right on the border with Blade's Edge. This is probably where you'll go into Blade's Edge for the first time as well. There are around 33 quests for Kurenai and TBC, so you won't get exalted just from those. The quests in the Grand start at 64, but you'll probably get to them a little later than that, and that's okay. There is one quest that isn't terribly easy to miss, but it is possible, and that's the free Corki chain. Corki is this dick right here in Burning Blade Ruins. You can tell it's him because he keeps viciously, and in my opinion, unnecessarily insulting these ogres. Now, if you kill enough of these ogres, it will drop the key required to free him from the cage, and you can get his questline started. Now for the Mag'har, they are also based in the Grand at the Gardar Superdome, but instead of having to start off in Zangar, they are actually in Hellfire. Starts off with a level 62, but you can get it at 60, quest called a Spirit Guide. You get it from this guy here. Alright, I guess it's a girl, I don't know, cows or animal husbandry, but the actual quest line starts earlier. It's from Nazgrel. You can't miss it. It's part of the main series of Hellfire quests, so as long as you're following along with those, you are just fine. Once they don't want to kill you, there are actually more Mag'har quests than Kurenai, over 40. Mag'har are creepy AF though. They're holding a bunch of female Draenei captives. I mean, call the FBI or sanction them or something. Alright, let's move on to what they can actually give us, because some of it is nice. For the most part, they have the same loot, but a few small exceptions. So at friendly, you can get the pattern for Nether Fury belt, and that's it. Quite shit. At honored, it's a little better. More Nether Fury patterns, this time the legs. Recipe for a mining bag and also some drums. Not drums of war, but drums of restoration and drums of speed. Drums of speed are pretty cool. Can't use them in arena, of course, but they do work in BGs and World PvP. Can be pretty nice. There's also quivers. Cleft Hoof Hide Quiver for Mag'har, and Warg Hide Quiver for Kurenai. I didn't know there were wargs there. Thing is, they're pretty boring. It's exactly the same as Ancient Sinew Wrapped Lamina. So same speed and 2 slots less than the AV ones. Weak. Revered is where things get good. Kind of. Transmute Primal Fire to Earth. Yeah, this is some dope shit. I'm just kidding. This shit can safely be thrown in the garbage. However, this is where things start to diverge a little bit. Kurenai get blackened leather spalders and Mag'har get Talbuk hide spalders. Same stats but different graphics. They're really not bad shoulders either. And there are another few items similar to this where they have the same stats but different graphic. Not sure why they did this. I guess they thought it added some nice flavor or some bullshit. Leather caster pants with 3 sockets. Kurenai kilt for Kurenai. And Tempest leggings for Blood Mag'har. Band of Elemental Spirits for Kurenai and Band of Ancestral Spirits for Mag'har. Again, those are the same stats across the two, just different names and graphics. Finally, for Revered, you get the last piece of Nether Fury, the pattern for the boots. Alright, Exalted, the big balls items are here. Helms, again same but different graphics. Kurenai one looks better though, it's like the Hunter Dungeon 2 set. But you probably won't use this, there are lots of better dungeon drops, and the same is true for the Exalted Cape, Cloak of the Ancient Spirits. The final Exalted item is actually different. For Horde you get Hellscream's Will, a two-handed axe, and Ally get Archaon's Gift, Archcrone's Gift. Alliance gets a cool looking mace, stats again the same, just a different weapon type. Neither are that bad, in fact they're both pretty good. The only thing is, Illidari Bane Claymore exists, and it's not very difficult to get either. So that's all the things these reps can offer. Let's move on to farming their rep. I'm just kidding. Talbuks. Talbuks are phenomenal. One of the best looking mounts in the game. Both factions sell the same ones. They come in 4 colors: cobalt, white, silver, and tan. There's 2 versions of each color, one with armor and one without. The armored versions cost 80 gold and 56 gold for the unarmored ones. There are black versions of both, but those are from Hala. I did a video just on mounts if you're interested in that. It's up in the corner. Alright, that's all well and good, but no more bullshit. How do we get this rep? Quests are going to be big. You're likely going to do all of them while leveling up, and that's what I recommend. Now, unfortunately, I could not find any archived info on how much rep all the quests will get you. But luckily, I'm a lazy bastard and have some characters I didn't really play after TBC on retail. So I went ahead and checked 2 characters. They haven't been in Outland since TBC. One was even still 70 until that leveling revamp. I had done all the quests at Orbar Harborage, Talar, Gardar, on both of them. And both of them were honored, just barely not into revered. 10,642 out of 12k on the Alliance tune, and 11,494 out of 12k on the Horde tune. I'm going to say that's a pretty accurate representation of where you'll be after doing all the quests in TBC Classic. Estimates I could find from back in the day said around 700 to 800 kills from Revered to Exalted, assuming the most efficient method, which we'll talk about in just a minute. So you've got quite a ways to go after the quests, and there are really only 2 ways to get rep after those: kill mobs or do turn-ins. Let's cover the mobs first because there's different groups of mobs you can do. Almost all Mercblood mobs will give you rep, 10 rep each all the way to Exalted. With the exception of some Wish Edition Mercbloods called Mercblood Scavengers, they only give 2 rep each, but they go down like a bag of shit, that's why. Now there are some Mercblood guys in Underbog, they do not give Mag'har or Kurenai rep, only the ones in the Grand do. But they aren't a great option for rep. I would only go here if all the other spots are just absolutely swamped. A better option, Kill Sorrow. Sounds like an emo band name. These guys also give 10 rep each, but they have a better drop table. They can drop marks of Kil'jaeden and very rarely drop marks of Sargeras. If you're Aldor, this can be a pretty efficient farm for getting your rep for both Aldor and your Talbuk faction. The marks are also not BOP, so if they're just going for a lot on your server, you can flip them and that could make this a decent enough farm. There's a ton of them at Kill Sorrow Fortress, of course, and that's in the southeast part of Mag'har. If that's not a good spot because it's crowded or some shit, there are other ones in Oshagun, but it's kind of a pain to farm there because it's mostly demons with some of the orcs mixed in, so I would only recommend that if you really need the marks, and the Kurenai rep is kind of secondary. Best option for getting rep fast is going to be ogres. Just any ogres in the Grand, really. So all of the ogres in the Grand will give you rep for each kill, but most importantly, they also drop obsidian warbeads. Not to be confused with ogre warbeads. Sometimes we used to call them ogre warbeads, but there actually is another item called ogre warbeads. It's for a quest, so don't get those confused. If you want to do this as fast as possible, that's how you'll get most of your rep. Ogres drop beads at a very steady 33%. You can turn in 10 beads for 500 rep. It's a lot. As I said earlier, going from Revered to Exalted with this method is usually around 700 to 800 ogres. The beads can also be turned in for Consortium rep, so you can do both at the same time if you want, but that's a shitload of ogres, and is for another guide. Since any ogres give rep and will drop beads, you can go to just whichever location is empty. But I do want to throw out what I think are the best options. First one is this cave down here. It's way down in the basin in the ground below Hala. This was mentioned in all the old guides as being one of the best spots because of its mob density, the fact that it's out of the way, and apparently had a good respawn rate, but Classic has changed respawn rates, so I wouldn't count on that part. There's also another cave south of Hala instead of north. Another one I recommend is way up here at Warmall Hill. It looks amazing because it's right on the border with Zangar, so you got some nice scenery, but there's a ton of mobs, and if you go to the top cave, it's very likely to be empty. It's a real pain to get to if you don't have a flying mount, and the only reason to really be there is for one group quest. But again, any of the ogres will work, so I'd just park it whichever is the least busy. Burning Blade Ruins, Laughing Skull Ruins, Southwind Cleft, and there's even a few ogres right next to Talar. And that about covers it. If you want those oh so sweet Talbuks, you're gonna have to kill a lot of ogres. I should mention all of this info is from original guides and my memory, no private server info at all. Can't trust that private server shit. This is the first rep guide, so let me know what you think. Should I do more? Should I change things? Did it suck? Or did you enjoy it? If you enjoyed the video, hit that sub button, bell, like button, share button, all that other shit. I appreciate each and every one I get. But that is going to be all for this one. I really appreciate you all watching, and I will see you all for the next one. And a small note. Wowhead says Kurenai is Japanese for crimson. No! Stop! Please, God, no! Stupid weebs ruining Japanese for everyone else. Just,